You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, sir.
OG J Prince.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? Welcome back, sir.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure and an honor once again.
Jay Prince is finally telling his story, sharing with the world some of that game with the art and science of respect.
Yeah.
Your new book. What's your definition of respect?
Oh, man. Respect is it's a deep thing. You know what I mean? And I named my book The Art and Science of Respect because I feel like there's an art and a science to respect. And, you know, it's just like it's an art and a science to cooking. You know what I mean? And the art part of it is, the artistic part of things you imagine. You know what I mean? And then the science is the knowledge. You know what I mean? The numbers that go into accumulating the art. So, you know, it all sums up to respect with me, and it's a humility thing where respect is concerned, where you it's something I believe you have to give in order to receive. You know, it's not a one-sided show. So, you know, to sum it all up, that's what respect is to me.
Mm-hmm. Man, if you don't got an audio book, I don't know what I'm gonna do, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely have an audio book. I'm narrating it. You know what I mean, in my voice, and it's live and uncut.
Now, there's a lot of information in this book, and it starts off with, of course, you as a youngster and how you grew up and you were raised. Was it hard for you to tell some of those really personal stories about your mom, about knowing who your father was and all of that?
Yeah, well, I can't necessarily say it was hard, but I went to some dark places. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I went to some places that was uncomfortable. You know, I tell everybody I went to my wins, my losses, and everything in between. But it all summed up to what shaped and molded me to who I am today.
Mm-hmm. Well, what exactly happened in the closet?
Oh, man. The closet was a situation where I made one of the most important decisions of my life. You know, it was where I transitioned from the street to corporate America. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I gave up the game. And it wasn't an easy decision. You know what I mean? It was a decision that was spiritual to me because, you know, when I was in the game, you know, I always been a praying man, right? And my thing was, God, give me a sign before you take my freedom or take my life. So in that closet, I was in front of that sign.
What was the sign?
Well, I love you. You asked all the right questions, man. All the right questions. The sign was, it was time for my ass to think longevity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The sign was I was finna self-destruct. You know what I mean? If I don't make the transition, then I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Were you having somewhat of a breakdown while you were in the closet? I wasn't sure if somebody was looking for you or something had happened.
Well, explain to people what the closet is, because a lot of people.
We don't want to tell them too much because it's in the book.
It's the very beginning of the book, though.
They're gonna want to understand what that saying means. That who don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, just like I said, in that closet, it was a point where it was a life or death situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's hard for me to go into details about it because I'm free. I want to stay that way, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but you know what I mean? I think I said it, you know, very well. I had to what you call shit to get off the pot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I chose to go the longevity route. And the best decision I made in my life.
One thing I like about that story, you asked God for something specific. You said, if you bless me with this music thing, then you get your act together. And I think jazz was on your lap in the closet, right?
Yeah, jazz was a newborn baby. And, you know, part of my main decision for making that was for my kids. You know, it was a time in my life I didn't care. You know what I mean? I didn't care. I was in the street to die. You know what I mean? It didn't matter to me. But it's a beautiful thing, you know, to look at your kids and say, okay, I'm going to do this for y'all. You know what I mean? I didn't have enough sense to do it for me. I said, but I'm going to do this for y'all. And all of that was a part of the decision making that I made in the closet.
How did you know the music was the way out?
Well, I didn't really know the music was the way out. Not a guarantee thing, you know what I mean? I was in the music game for a while, maybe a few years prior to that, and I knew it was legal. I knew that it was $1 million playing field. Mm-hmm. I knew that I wanted to be a millionaire. So, and also I had love for music, you know what I mean? I was what one would call a Motown baby, you know, so I had a love for music. So I think I made a good decision.
Yeah, when you think of
the
significance of that moment, Jazz was with you. Jazz eventually discovered Drake.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't make the right decision in that moment, you probably don't get Drake later.
Well, it was a lot of them came before Drake. You know what I mean? So if I don't make that decision, then, you know, my whole ass is you know what I mean, off the rail. So that decision, you know, and it's a chapter in the book that I wrote that's called The Biggest Deal I Ever Made. Mm-hmm. And the biggest deal I ever made was walking away from the street into corporate America. So, yeah, that's a true statement. I wouldn't be here if I didn't make that decision.
For people that don't know, who was the first artist when you decided to leave the streets and start the company? Who was the first artist that you said, I'm putting everything behind?
Okay, my first artist.
Your brother?
Well, yeah, most definitely, Sir Rap-A-Lot. I actually went into the music game because of my brother. You know, I didn't want my brother in the street. So, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to set this up for you. Mm-hmm. You do this, and I'm going to do what I do. And, you know, it started out that way. Mm-hmm. But my brother, you know, he ended up getting a 20-something year sentence. And, you know, I couldn't leave the other homies out because I had gave him my word, you know what I mean? And I kept my word. And it was from keeping my word that really made all this happen.
Now, you're big about keeping your word.
Yeah.
In this industry, there's a lot of people that never keep their word.
Right.
So how do you maneuver in the industry with so many people that it's totally different from the streets where people flim-flam, they don't keep their word, they lie, they're not honorable?
Yeah. Well, one of the hardest decisions one of the hardest adjustments I had to make was in hip-hop. You know what I mean? Being from the streets and having a certain code that you live by, and then coming into this world, I had to really humble myself and adjust to actors and to a whole lot of things that, you know, I wasn't used to adjusting to. But, you know, I tell everybody, from humbling myself and you know what I mean, adjusting to the environment that I chose to be in, I was blessed beyond my expectations.
You got a chapter called Leaders, Followers, and Loners, and you said you are a born leader, but you said every leader has to submit at some point.
Yeah.
When has Jay Prince ever submitted?
You know, my first submitment, you know, where I first submitted was to God. You know what I mean? God is, he's the head. So, you know, and once you understand submitting to him, then, you know, everything falls under that. So that's, I would say at a young age, you know what I mean, when I was introduced to my spirituality, that took some submitting.
And you talk about ego a lot. How do you keep from letting your ego get the best of you?
Well, that's a part of submitting to God. You know what I mean? You know, when you submit there, then you understand that ego has no place for a lot of things.
And I'm sure in relationships with women as well, you know that at certain points you have to submit.
Yeah, well, I agree. You know what I mean?
Because you don't talk about
Jason, that's negotiable.
He doesn't talk about relationships in the book, but I'm pretty sure that.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. Any man that try and deny that is lying. You know what I mean? So that takes a lot of humility and submission as well.
Now, can you talk about separating friendship from business? Because I know sometimes that's a hard thing to do. Because there's people that you've worked with, like Andre Ward as a boxer, that you might establish this connection with, but then when it comes down to the business, things end up getting a little funny sometimes, and people don't honor what they're supposed to do, and then it turns into something else. So how do you maintain that balance? Because it's really hard to be friends with somebody when you guys have a business deal.
Yeah. It's definitely a fine line where that's concerned. But with me and Andre Ward, for example, I think our bond was more. Well, the top of our bond was our spirituality. You know what I mean? And with he and I having that understanding, we allowed that to govern our friendship. So, I'm this way, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to I call it the personal in business. You know what I mean? I'm what one would call a nonsense businessman, you know what I mean? And when we have agreement when we're doing business, then that's what it is. And the friendship thing, it come and goes. A lot of the artists I worked with, I didn't like, but straight
like
up.
personality-wise
Yeah.
or musically?
Well, I had to like them musically to invest in them, but personality-wise, I didn't like them.
You don't strike me as the type of person to deal with somebody that you couldn't rock
A lot
with
of
personally.
them. A lot of
Wow.
them. You know what I mean? Because business is business. It's not about, really liking a person, But long as it's a mutual respect, I'm good.
You was instrumental in Floyd Mayweather's career early on too, right?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I managed Floyd Mayweather for 4 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why didn't that work out?
Well, it did work out. It worked out for 4 years.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It worked out for 4 years, and after my contract was up, Floyd, moved on to other things.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about, I guess, business and bad business. Birdman owed you $12 million. He gave you $1 million of it. Has he paid you the rest yet?
Well, that's not totally true.
Oh.
Cash money is much more than that, and I would have to say he paid more than $1 million. But that's some business that's being talked about right now, and is actually moving along at a
better rate,
respectable pace.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I mean? Because like I know, ain't no man gonna cheat my son, and I allow that to be okay. So Birdman, Cash Money, I don't want to bash them right now, but as I always tell them, do right by us. Yeah.
That definitely affected y'all friendship.
Yeah. These guys was, I inspired them. Y'all heard them say it with their own mouth. You know what I mean? I consider them Cash Money, Master P, Tony Draper, which them were my students in the game. You know what I mean? I shared wisdom. I shared information. And then I went on as sharing my son to be a part of a business situation where they're concerned. And I believe it's going to end well.
Why didn't you ever put Drake out yourself? Why did y'all go that route? Because you could have.
Yeah, I moved on to boxing. You know what I mean? I moved on to boxing. And, my son, Jazz Prince, the one that discovered Drake, was hanging with Lil Wayne. He and Lil Wayne was cool. And I feel like it was a good opportunity for them to, move forward and do what they wanted to do together. So I blessed that. And here we are today.
We recently heard you tell Drake not to reply to Pusha T. You said Pusha was disrespectful in the beef, but Drake was being disrespectful too by bringing up his fiance.
Well, it's one thing to bring up a fiance. It's another thing to be vulgar in the bringing up where a fiance is concerned. I feel that Pusha T was disrespectful, and he had crossed the line where music was concerned because he went to mama, you know what I mean? He went to daddy. He went to a man that's dying, that's sick, you know what I mean? And it's no question mark in my mind that that's disrespectful.
And was your reasonings because you've seen it play out like this before? Because everybody says you warned Diddy and Big about being in LA at the time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. actually turned my whole bus around. I was, a long ways out, and just to go back to Puffy and Biggie and let them know what I had felt and the things that I heard in the street, which was it wasn't safe for Biggie to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So when I went there and explained that to Puffy, they was doing their business, and I got through with Puffy. I went in the bus with Biggie and explained it to him, and I was at peace at that point. You know what I mean? Because I had done what I could do, but as we all know, the end wasn't well.
Right. So you think when it gets to that point where people start calling moms out and dads out and family, it could get to that point?
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we all from the hood, right? And when you cross certain lines in the hood, fights, killings, different things, take place. And, for a man to go there, like I know Drake's dad, I know his mom, I know 40. So, if that had been kept between he and Drake, then that's one thing. That's a level playing field of me. But to take it there, that's a pig pen mentality. You know what I mean? I understand that mentality. I know how to deal with the hogs, the pigs, and all of them kind of people. But to me, he went to a pig pen mentality, and we can't go there for a combination of reasons.
Is Drake taking your advice? Because the rumor is he already has a song and Lil Wayne is involved.
Well, I don't know about Lil Wayne, but he definitely was cocked and loaded, and he definitely was ready to fire. And I would say this, because me and Kanye had spoke. I don't think he would mind me stating we had a conversation, and it could have been a career-ending situation where he concerned, and it also could have damaged, I think, a whole lot of livelihood where people are concerned.
I mean, Kanye's correct would have been over.
Well, for sure, I feel like he would have been twisted with this one, and it wouldn't have been good for Pusha either. So, with that being said, we not here to, not in that manner, not in the pig pen style. You know what I mean? Because when one hits you with bullets, you know what I mean, and disrespect, it's not too many places to go but get down, you know what I mean? Yeah, in the mud, and that ain't Drake character.
Smart. Yeah. Why do you think this is still on rap? Why do you think Scarface doesn't get the respect he deserves as a rapper?
I think Scarface got respected as a rapper. You would have to explain to me.
I mean, like when they mention like the greats of all time, you always hear Big, you always hear Jay, you always hear Pac. To me, Face is on that level.
Yeah.
But you don't really hear it mentioned in the mass circles like that.
Well, we know how the politics and different things happen in the mass circle. We were independent, and there are some advantages where majors are concerned when that kind of stuff is mentioned. But if you get in the heart of the street, I think Scarface got just as much respect as any of them.
Mind Playing Tricks on Me, was that really about you, they said?
Well, somewhat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Somewhat. I had a lot to do with that, and
that was that being in the closet situation that Scarface was writing about.
Yeah, it was. I definitely inspired. I always told artists I never take credit where writing is concerned. You know what I mean? But I did a lot of writing. I done a lot of.
Did you ever think you wanted to be a rapper also?
Well,
at some point?
I actually rapped on a few songs. You know
Really?
what I mean? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I spit some lyrics on that song, and I think I rapped on another one. But I never really wanted to be a rapper.
Did you deal with anxiety and stuff? Because Mind Playing Tricks on Me is like that's an anxiety-filled record. Is that something you ever dealt with?
Well, you know what I mean. I don't know if you call it anxiety, but my mind played tricks on me in a many ways. You know what I mean? Coming from where I came from, going through what I went through, yeah, my mind. And sometimes it play tricks on me today.
Because of the old stuff you used to do, you think karma will come back?
Just No, I don't think karma can come back. But all things are possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just when you play with the wolves and you've been through the jungle, it's hard to not hear those sounds and have those thoughts. Sometime that went on in the jungle. I'll put it like that.
It never leaves you.
Yeah, but it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to move on because I've conquered all of it. You know what I mean? All the obstacles. I conquered them. So, I'm at peace. You know what I mean? I feel good. Look good. You know what I mean? So,
You're on an island, then.
Yeah. Welcome to Belize.
Speaking of that a little bit, Special Agent Jack Schumacher, he was leading an investigation against you, and he killed 6 people in the line of duty, all of which he was investigating. Did you think they put him on your case to take you out?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I think the number is 8 instead of 6.
It was 8? Oh, damn.
Yeah. So, this was a hitman. I don't know no better way to characterize this guy other than a hitman, but they chose him and the agent Chad Scott, who is presently, I think he's been indicted on 13 cases. They put both of these guys on me to wipe me out, you know what I mean, to destroy me, to destroy Rap-A-Lot. And I definitely felt like, it was a hit. And I say that because, one night I left my company, Rap-A-Lot, and a DPS agent pulled behind me. And it was the first time that I ever been stopped one time and told to go to another destination to stop again. But this other spot they wanted me to go to was dark. You know what I mean? It was like in a McDonald's parking lot, but deep in the McDonald's parking lot. And it was dark. And I saw 2 cars over there. So, I had homies following me because they sent several threats to me about what they was going to do to me. These was so-called gangster agents. And they let it be known, they had jumped on a few of my guys, took jewelry, you know what I mean, money. They was doing a lot of scandalous things. So as I pulled over and I looked in that parking lot, I'm like, shit, I'm not pulling in that parking lot. So I pointed, I'm going to go over here to this service station. Pull fucking over on the loudspeaker, he told me. I said, no, I'm going to go across here. So I went across the Shell service station, and the officer got out the car and was like, you were swerving. I say, what's the problem, officer? I say, no, I wasn't doing no swerving. Why you didn't pull over where I told you to pull over? I say, sir, I didn't want you to think I was trying to hurt you in that dark, and I didn't want to think you was trying to hurt me. What's the problem? You were swerving. I said, no, you got the wrong man. I don't drink. I don't even smoke. I wasn't swerving. At that time, he asked me, where your guns? I say, my guns is under my seat. I say, my hands is on the steering wheel. What would you like me to do? How much money you have in your pocket? I say, well, you need some money or something? Why you asking me about my money? So I got out the car, right? And to make a long story short, I'm watching his eyes, so I see him looking over at these guys. And I think some kind of move was made because one of the guys, Chad Scott, pulled over, and the man had like football paint on his eyes and an army fatigue suit, you know what I mean? He whispered something in his ear, and at that point, they decided to give me a warning ticket. But when I got home, a few of my bullets was missing out of my gun because he searched my car, right? And I went home and thought, like, I don't know what they was trying to do to me in that dog, but it wasn't good. You know what I mean? And that was before I hired an investigator to investigate Schumacher. After the fact of hiring an investigator and investigating him, that's when the information came out. This man been killing people. We interviewed his lieutenant. The lieutenant said he never trusted him. This was a retired lieutenant. I never trusted him. The murders that he committed was always questionable, but the guys that he killed couldn't talk. So all I could see was myself being in that situation, and with me having weapons, bam, he reached for a weapon. You know what I mean? So over a decade later, now the very DEA agents, FBI agents reaching out to me to assist them with their own. You know what I mean? And it's an interesting thing.
Whatever happened to that agent?
Well, one of them got reprimanded at the time because when they went to his office, they found a Rap-A-Lot piece in his desk. The other one got put on a desk job, and ultimately they moved both of them out of Houston because they didn't want us to run into one another. Because what I done was I went to Washington, D.C., and I wanted to document that I was in fear of my life. You know what I mean? And I wanted to do that for a reason. You know, I'm not going to allow a man to just kill me and not defend myself. So I put them on notice. Y'all got a hitman out here that's trying to do me. Don't be mad if I come out on top. You know what I mean? So that was documented, and from there, they made moves because they didn't want us to interact on the street. But as you can see, this guy, one of them retired, Schumacher, and the other one went to Louisiana, and that's who's indicted, Chad Scott, right now, 13 counts of, just screwing over people, taking their money, taking their drugs, abusing his authority in every kind of way you can think of.
And karma always comes back. It was a rumor back in the day that you gave presidential candidate Al Gore $200,000 as a campaign donation to make the drug investigation go away.
Right. All of that was a part of the conspiracy to try and railroad me. And that went on at church. You know what I mean? I pulled up at church one morning, and Al Gore was at the church. My pastor, Pastor West, told me, I want you to meet the vice president. I'm like, okay. So when I pull up, I'll observe body language. These people with glasses and different things looking my way. And, I said to my lady at the time, I say, all these people ain't here for the president.
Secret Service.
Right? Yeah. No, them was feds. They wasn't with, you know what I mean? But I'm watching them. So she said, oh, boy, you being leery, right? I said, okay. So I went and heard the sermon, and right after the sermon, I left. You know what I mean? I said, let's go. I don't want to.
Did you at least tithe?
Yeah, I tithe. You know what I mean?
Church, yes.
Yeah, I tithe. You know what I mean? But I had never even voted in my life at the time. I'm like, I don't have to meet him. But what's erotic about this story is I was right. When I got the transcripts, and read what was happening, I was being monitored. Suspect just pulled in the parking lot.
Wow.
Getting out of the car. You know what I mean? So it was a conspiracy going on to take a picture of me and Al Gore, and I think it had a lot to do with I forgot that little guy's name.
Ross Perot.
Ross Perot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ross Perot, because that following Monday, they had this big thing on me out of the Dallas Morning News. Okay, this man has then donated $250,000 to stop this from happening. Total lie.
And that's interesting because around this time was also when you were trying to do a distribution label with Suge Knight and Irv Gotti.
Yeah. Myself, Suge, and Irv, them, we were contemplating doing the first black-owned distribution company. And coincidentally, one may think, all of us was being hit up around the same time. So we understand what happened with Irv, them, and Suge, and I'm the last man standing.
When you think about situations like Black Wall Street, and you see whenever black people try to empower themselves in that way, it gets systemically destroyed. You think that they were doing that because y'all was starting a distribution label?
Yeah, I think that's a strong possibility. You know what I mean? I've witnessed so many conspiracies where the police department and different parts of their alphabet names and different things like that conspired to, stop a movement that I had started for whatever reason they paint up or imagine. It's real. You know what I mean? It don't sound real, but it's real. And in my book, I detail a whole lot of them, you know what I mean? Because it's important to me to not leave here with the knowledge and the information that I have, you know what I mean? So I want to share these different things in my book of my experiences, you know what I mean? My efforts of doing different things that I know would benefit everybody who read this book.
I was going to ask, how many artists and executives do you speak to now on a regular where you call them and say, well, let me give you some game, or let me help you out with this? We know you checked a couple of people, but I mean, just giving them some knowledge sometimes.
Yeah, I share wisdom all the time, you know what I mean, for free. You know, a lot of different artists call me and, you know, pick my brain, get my opinion about different things, and it's something, you know, I do for no cost, you know what I mean, because it's something, if you may not go back this far, but it was my goal when I was speaking on my intros way back in the day was to pull as many brothers in the game as possible, because I felt like the music game was the new dope game at the time. And on my intros, I'm speaking, yo, come on, get out of bondage, leave that alone, come on in this world. And we see where it has evolved to at this point.
And do you feel comfortable with your sons in the music industry, how it is? Because it's not the same. The money's not the same. It seems the loyalty's not the same.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Definitely under my guidance. You know what I mean? It's a different playing field, but, you know, we're more than qualified to, you know, to deal with it. And speaking of the loyalty, speaking of respect, none of it is the same. You know, it has diminished in a lot of different ways, but it don't mean we have to diminish.
Now, when 6ix9ine was taking shots at your son and even you,
yeah,
how was that ended?
Well, I
ended?
hadn't heard of him taking shots at me. You're gonna have to enlighten that about me. But if he taking shots at my son, that is me. You know what I mean? So, but here's the thing where that's concerned. The rainbow head guy, right?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I always go to the top, right? Because I feel like that guy, you know, is somewhat of a pawn being programmed by whoever is over him. So the guy that say he had respect for me, and then out the side of his mouth, he invited my son to all of his private parts. You know what I mean?
Ultimate disrespect.
Exactly, and I don't know. You know, where I'm from, you know, we don't do that. We don't want no man sucking on us and different things like
My father said when you do that you better be prepared to die or kill when you invite a man to your private part.
It's a true statement. It's a true statement. Your dad, he knows something. You know what I mean? It's a true statement. And maybe that guy feel that way. You know what I mean? But for him to say he respect me and then out the other side of his mouth make a statement like that, you know what I mean? That's a situation. But the reality of that is, you know, that little guy, you know, he come to Houston all the time. And if I really had a problem with him, the very people he come to Houston to visit would give him to me. You know what I mean? So what my son them was doing, you know, was really showing him respect when they told him, okay, you can't just come to our party, you know what I mean, uninvitedly, and let him walk out of there nicely. That was a form of respect, because it's hard when a man, you know, is campaigning the way this guy campaigns. You know what I mean? Eventually, he's gonna get elected. So you can't, you can't have a man, you know, beside you with all that campaigning, and you know, a bullet might fly from somewhere and hit the wrong person. So you want to get an understanding with these kind of people before you allow them to sit in your car, stand beside you. So, you know, I understood what they were saying.
Yeah, you wrote out a list of goals in 1991, and you've accomplished all those goals. And like I believe in vision boards and writing things out. What gave you the idea to do that in 91?
Well, you know, I read this book, you know, Think and Grow Rich, and it was a life-changing book for me. You know what I mean? I always was a person. I never was really big on doing a lot of reading, but I'm a praying man. I always pray every night for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And this book fell in my lap, and I read that book, and what it done for me was, it taught me, exposed the gifts that I had that I wasn't aware of. You know what I mean? And then it taught me structure with the gifts that I had. And I was able to, put everything that I read into action in so many areas of my life. And one was the goals, you know what I mean? To write something down, to be able to look at it every day, and to do something toward that goal every day was a beautiful thing to put in the structure.
What I also thought was really inspirational was you talk about going to driving in the car for a couple of hours to go visit someone in jail, right? And seeing all this property as you're driving past it, and saying to yourself that I want to own property one day.
Right.
And buying, the compound that you live on, but also this island that you have off of Belize. So can you tell us how that came about? Because I don't know who thinks like, I'm just going to go buy this island. Yeah.
Well, I actually used to ride to the penitentiary with my grandmother to visit my uncle when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. It was a joyful moment for me because I never had an opportunity to leave the hood. So on that ride, a penitentiary ride, I was observing all of this, beautiful property, and for some reason I think in my genetics I have love for land, and I started dreaming on that ride, and I'm like, grandmother, I want property like this one day. I'm gonna have some property like this one day. And of course, she's like, yeah, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I hear you, you know what I mean? But that was real with me. And I started dreaming of wanting land, not only buying my mother a house at that point, but I wanted her to have a house with acres on it. So that was a seed that started that. And after getting the land, I realized that the serenity where the land was concerned, the privacy where the land was concerned, was what I really appreciated most, which led to islands and, all type of private property that I accumulated to be able to go there. A lot of people take a vacation one time a year, you know what I mean? I like to have that feel weekly if I can, or whenever I want it, because it opened up brain cells when I'm able to go to these different places of serenity that, normally wouldn't open in polluted areas.
You remember your first vacation ever?
I didn't have, as a kid, we didn't, okay. I remember my field trip.
Where'd y'all go?
We went to Camp Cullen. Yeah, we went to Camp Cullen. I think I was in the 4th or 5th grade, which was a place where land and different things is concerned, and I really enjoyed that.
What about like a real vacation though, where you finally was like, I'm gonna buy a flight and we're gonna go here and stay in do you remember that first time you ever went on vacation?
I was grown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was grown. I have to go back in my memory bank to remember that one, but I done a lot of that. The very first time, I can't really recall the very first time, but.
So why Belize, of all places?
Well, I actually had an opportunity to go to the Bahamas, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. I checked several islands, and it was a spirit-filled thing. You know what I mean? When I went to Belize, the people, the water, the time, the distance of getting to Belize from Houston, a couple hours. I've like summed all of that up, and I'm like, okay. This is the spot, but I really felt good about the people of Belize. They're real people.
Are you building a resort or just your home, or what's the plan for Belize?
Well, a combination of both. I have 2 islands out there. One is 6 acres, the other one is 3 acres, and I'm gonna do a resort because I tell everybody I don't love money, but I like it so much too. It's hard to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely would like to collect. When I'm not there.
What's your biggest source of income now?
My biggest source of income.
Hey.
Yeah, it comes from so many different places, Charlamagne, until it'd be hard for me to say because it might change after this
probably
interview.
changes every year, every few months.
Who implemented that sense of spirituality in you? Because you can tell you're spiritually grounded. You talk about feeling people's energy and frequencies. Like, who put that in you?
Well, I would have to give a credit to my mother putting me on a bus. You know, in the project, she put me on a bus. Pleasant Grove Baptist Church sent a bus to our projects to, anybody that wanted to get on that bus was welcome to go to church. And she sent me out there to get on that bus. So that's where my foundation begun. But I also had a 114-year-old great-grandmother, who passed, years ago. But I was able to, get it at the fullest from her. You know what I mean? Because that's like a living miracle being left on earth. So I got spiritually fulfilled from so many areas until for a minute I was wondering what was wrong with me. Yeah.
What's your relationship like with Maxine Waters? Because she supported you publicly when you were being investigated by the FBI.
Maxine Waters is one of my favorite ladies on earth. You know what I mean? Because she's a stand-up individual. She's a stand-up individual. And if it had not been for her taking a stand along with Janet Reno, where these, crooked DEA agents were concerned, then I may not be sitting here today. You know what I mean? So the ultimate respect for Congresswoman Maxine Waters, because she was in that room with me, and she stand for right.
Did you know her? You didn't know her? You just...
No, I didn't really know her prior to that. I knew of her from a distance, but we really had an opportunity to get to know one another during those stages of my career.
Now, why did you choose Jasmine Waters to write such a rich story?
Well, actually, I had chose, I forgot the guy's name.
Oh, Chris Morrow.
Yeah, Chris Morrow. And Chris introduced me to Jasmine. And I felt that Jasmine was a sister that knew more about me and my movement than even Chris. And Chris was busy at the time, you know what I mean? I think he was writing LeBron James' story. So after getting with Jasmine and us chopping it up, and I gave her a shot to write a piece of it, and I was impressed. And I'm like, you can do this, you know what I mean? So I extended that invitation, and she delivered a beautiful project.
All right. I feel like this should be a movie one day, man.
Yeah, it will be. I'm actually having several conversations about that, because it's deep, and I think what I've done is different than most from a lot of perspectives, and it'll be something to see.
Are you afraid of anything that you put in the book, like being that you have skated away from so much situations, like anything could come back?
No, I don't live in fear. I wouldn't put anything in the book
That would be silly.
Like, goddamn, son, man. You really think I'm gonna incriminate myself in any way?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that, man. Not at all.
Will there be a love story in the movie? Since
That's all he
you
cared
left
about,
all
his love
of that
story. That's
out.
all she cared
You
about.
know, it's interesting to me because as a woman, I know that sometimes for a man in business, who you choose or to be your partner is also pretty crucial to how successful you can be.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. I don't know if it'll be a love scene.
My goodness.
But you're right, though. You're right.
The
You're
art
right.
and science of respect.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you on that island one day.
OGJ
Hey, man.
Prince.
We're
Let's
trying
do
to
it.
get
Trying to get out
together.
there.
Can we make this happen,
Hey,
please?
let's go
I've
get
been
a tan.
trying
Let's go get a tan.
to rally up the guys.
We all deserve to get a tan.
I'm with you.
Some of us need it more than others.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. We
Okay.
have Jay Prince. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.